Peace, everybody. This your brother, Mr. Holipsism. We're having some technical difficulties. I'm supposed to be joined by Underrated Mind, but he's having some technical issues. So just bear with us. I had to go live because, if you don't go live by a certain time on Facebook, you can't go live at all. So let's see. Do, 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 do. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, in the meantime, while waiting for Underrated Mind, what I'll do is just tell you what the topic that we're going to be diving into. And the topic is Epistemology Redux. And the description goes, why Black African people should think towards embracing their African epistemology. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy concerned with knowledge. Epistemologists study the nature, origin, and scope of knowledge, epistemic justification, the rationality of belief, and various related issues. Ontology is the branch of philosophy that studies concepts such as existence, being, becoming, and reality. It includes the questions of how entities are grouped into basic categories and which of these entities exist on the most fundamental level. Also, what about the difference between epistemology and ontology? Do you think people operate under ontology more than the other? And to put that in layman's terms, let me see if he's back or not. No, he's not back yet. But to put that in layman's terms, ontology is how we view the world, and epistemology is how we should investigate the world. So that's the basic difference between the two. So how you investigate the world will depend on how you view the world. And that's why when I say I operate, when I use the term African-centered progressive, I'm operating from an African-centered perspective. So how I view the world is through that lens, and epistemology is how I investigate with that worldview. All right, he's back. Let's see if this works. Okay. And I still can't hear him. Wow. I know that y'all can hear me because the thing is vibrating around my avatar, but there's nothing vibrating around his, so his mic is not working. And this is going to be awkward because Underrated was the one who came up with this topic. So I'm trying to bounce off of him. So if I have to handle this on my own, we in some serious trouble. Because I was waiting to see what his take on it was. Just bear with us, folks. We'll see if we can get this thing happening. Just bear with us a second. Just out of curiosity, can somebody type 1 in the chat room if they can hear my voice? Because he's saying he can't hear me. I want to see if anybody else can hear me. If you can hear me, type 1 in the chat room. I think it's like 4 people. Okay, so all right. Thanks, Vic. Thanks, Whoa Baby. All right. I'm gonna wait and see if we can get him up and running. Hey, you know what? In the meantime, while we're waiting for Underrated, does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to talk about? Any issues or whatever? Because he wanted to speak on epistemology, so I'm not quite sure where he wanted to go with it. So that's why I'm waiting for him. But in the meantime, we could talk about anything. Hit me with a question in the chat room. Anything on your mind that I'm familiar with? I've been kind of out of the loop lately with the latest goings on in the world, the latest dramas. Or maybe you got a question about nationhood. Talk about ADOS. Okay. What do you want to talk about? What exactly? Only scams. What exactly about ADOS do you want to talk about? And I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You're not a troll. That name's got me nervous. They're foolish ideas. Wow. We gotta narrow it down. There's so much. Are they still around? I haven't heard too much ever. I guess they kind of failed with their Kamala thing because she became vice president. They was really like at the forefront when Kamala was out. Okay, underrated's back. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Hello, hello.
There he is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I tried getting on my phone because my laptop was running too slow,
Uh
and
huh.
and I got on my phone, but I couldn't hear you, and then you couldn't hear me.
Oh,
Said I'm gonna just try my work laptop, and then voila, here I am.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but
All right. I don't know. So you didn't hear what I did. Well, I explained the description at the beginning of the show, and I just gave a layman's term explanation of what ontology and epistemology is.
um, could you redo the term again? Well, you gave me a layman's term of epistemology, so you don't have to do that. But ontology, I'm definitely wanted to know like the understand.
Well, ontology is how we view the world, basically.
Mm,
Epistemology is how we should investigate the world.
hmm,
That's the basic difference. So it's like it's the worldview in which you investigate the world is basically what ontology is.
okay,
So in other words, if you see things from a militant integrationist standpoint, then you're going to investigate the world as a militant integrationist.
integrationist. Okay, okay.
So that's basically in a nutshell. Like the more scholastic interpretation of, or I should say, definition is ontology is the branch of philosophy that studies concepts such as existence, being, becoming, and reality. It includes the questions of how entities are grouped into basic categories and which of these entities exist on the most fundamental level. That's this, the academic thing.
Yeah,
Epistemology is the branch of philosophy concerned with knowledge. Epistemologists study the nature, origin, and scope of knowledge, epistemic justification, the rationality of belief, and various related issues. So, um, I guess ontology would be the very roots of the tree.
hmm. Where it all stems from.
Right. And
Okay,
epistemology is sort of like the branch of that. Well, not the branch, but the foundation.
the foundation.
Because the roots are underneath the soil. Epistemology is above the soil. So that trunk, the trunk is epistemology.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
But
Um,
what made you interested in reduxing this topic?
well, um, for one, when you brought it up in one of your content videos a while back, I can't remember which video exactly, but I don't know if it was talking about African center progressiveness,
Mhm.
or maybe it was just about what the BAIO is about. And
Right,
then you were saying how, you're into African epistemology.
right,
And so from the lounge a while back, we covered that, and that's in the uploads. But what I wanted to dive into it because, I like having talks about how people think, or just, how we should look at things differently.
hmm,
And when you had brought it up, it just definitely broadened my way of thinking. And maybe a lot of people don't know the term or never thought about that way. Maybe it's something that has to be reintroduced. So
yeah, yeah. I hope that those layman terms definition gave it, and the visualization of a tree gave people somewhat of an understanding. Like the ontology is the roots, epistemology is the trunk. And ontology is beneath the soil, epistemology is above the soil.
yeah,
And what is going to establish how strong that foundation is or what you actually branch off into is going to be what the ontology is. And The ontology is what I consider how we view the world as African people. Because I'll give you an example to show you how having the wrong epistemology and ontology can fuck up everything.
Mm,
Reparations.
mm,
If you are a nationalist, if you are an African centered progressive, the way you view reparation is through the lens of nationhood. You're viewing it through the lens of land, you're viewing it from the lens of infrastructure, and you're viewing it from the lens of nationhood. So when you talk about reparations, very rarely do you hear a nationalist talk about a check,
right.
because that's not what they view it as. They see it as a way to help build up the country. But we're thinking in terms of actually having a country.
Having a country. Mm,
So when we think about it, we think about it in terms of Liberia, because Liberia is our nation state.
hmm.
So when we think of reparations, we're saying is how can those reparations help our nation state? Now let's compare that to somebody who's coming from the epistemology and the ontology of a militant integrationist or a Black Power American or ADOS, is however you want to classify it. They're not thinking in terms of land. They're not thinking in terms of infrastructure, and they're not thinking in terms of nationhood. What they're thinking about is in terms of individualism. So when
Mm,
they think of reparations, the first thing that pops in their mind is getting a check in the mail that they can go and take to the bank in cash so they can get some shit.
yeah.
That's what they got in their head. That's what they got in their mind. It's like the winning lottery ticket. So do you see how, though, if just based on your ontology and based on your epistemology, how those two different things see that one thing in completely different ways?
Yeah. Yeah. I even had an example too. And I think this is what made me want to revisit it. Like I was looking on a LinkedIn post
Mm-hmm.
where, there's been this talk around corporate of, black people trying to make wearing natural hair okay in the work office. And I was just like, man, it's so funny that we're still stuck on this, integrating things of wearing our hair in the office and, just trying to please, I guess, the corporate world. When if we had our own nation, like that would be something that would even be talked about. It would have just happened. Like we would have just embraced natural hair naturally in the work office.
You just
And
gave another example.
I'm just like, we have other, you have other races, other groups of race that are really focusing on bigger things. Meanwhile, we're still caught on, why we should fight for wearing braids or dreads in a cubicle.
Mhm.
It's like,
But
I was like, man,
do you see how that's another example of what we're talking about? Because, like,
yeah.
take for instance, what is the all right, I'll let you tell me. When you hear black folks talk about it, what is the if you're a militant integrationist or you're a Black Power American or you're a Captain America Negro, what is their take on natural hair in the workplace? Now, some of them is going to be different. Like, like some of them will want to fight for it and say, "Well, that's what we should have, and we should have the right." Da 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 da. But then
Hmm.
there's also some of them that say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?
Wrong with you, right?
Why are you trying to wear dreads and all this and braids at the office? You're not supposed to be wearing that. Don't you know we're in
Exactly.
America?" Da 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 da. See, that's all based on how you view the world.
Exactly. Because I was telling this to somebody. I said the same person that is fighting to have natural hair in a cubicle Meanwhile, you got Bonquisha still got tracks and weaves in her hair, and she was like, I don't know why we doing this. Like, I'm fine with having, glue on my head. So now it's just like the agenda isn't the same,
Hmm.
obviously, because one person is thinking one way and the other person, is thinking the same.
Right.
And and then it brought to me to another example. Well, I don't know if it's an example, but I think it's just like a complaint. Should we read Baruti's question first?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so Baruti said, Holub, I have a question. Why aren't, well, he had a question before that. He said, so Holub, based on defining ontology and epistemology, solution models by a researcher to any scenarios are extension of these two terms. Integrationist has integrationist solutions.
Yeah, that was more a statement than
Stay. Oh,
anything.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Okay, so then the question is, why aren't more blacks in the US nationalists in terms of a fundamental idea? Is there anything that Munzungu has done to make blacks feel welcome or American? Your thoughts?
Well, that must be a rhetorical question. Is there anything that they've done to make blacks feel welcome? Absolutely not. Or American? No. But that's what blacks want to be.
Mm,
So it's like, did the nightclub in your neighborhood make you feel welcome that you should be in their club?
mm,
No, but you still want to get in it.
mm.
So who's got the problem? Is it the nightclub that has a problem? Because the nightclub is more than comfortable with just treating you like you shouldn't be there. Or do you have the problem because you want to go someplace where you're not wanted or welcome?
Wonderful. Hmm,
Who has the real problem?
hmm.
And this is something that I keep asking these pro America people. It's like, why are you so in love with America? They don't love you. You will never, like, I posted that scene from the Bruce Lee movie, Dragon. Did you see that? Because I
Oh,
thought that
dude.
was so perfect. He said, Linda Lee's mother said, well, if you have babies, they're not going to be white, they're not going to be Chinese, there'll be some half breeds and they won't be accepted by either side. And Bruce Lee said, no, they'll not be half breeds, they'll be American, like me. And her mother said, you're not an American, you're an American citizen.
Mm.
And I love that. I loved it because she was keeping it real. You just live here. I'm an
Yeah.
American. And that's the mentality. That's what they feel. That's what they think. And black people are fucking delusional. So you think you're gonna come here and you're gonna convince white people that you just as good as they are. That's what you're gonna waste your time trying to do instead of you actually have a nation state. You have ancestors that went through the trouble of building a place for you. And instead of you putting your energy into that, you want to put your energy into getting white folks to accept you in America. And we're the crazy ones?
Right. Like, for instance, it was another LinkedIn post, and it's just it's like the smallest things we put our big focus on, and we just want to post it. This one lady, she gets in an Uber car, and I think she took a selfie while she was in the car,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I just got in, and automatically they're playing trap music just because I'm black, woo woo woo." Doesn't mean that you just change the radio to trap or whatever. And I'm just like, why don't you just tell them to change the radio? Like, okay, I mean, hell, if I was a driver and some dude came, I mean, maybe I would assume like, they liked Nickelback or Billy Ray Cyrus or shit. And maybe they're like, nah, man, like turn on to some Eminem. My bad. Okay, shit. Just I'll just change it.
Because they always it's so funny. Remember that chick Rachel Dolezal?
Yeah, yeah.
Why did black folks have a problem with her?
Hmm.
I'm really trying to figure out what the problem was, because most of the time you're always saying that we're not respected. Nobody respects who we are. Nobody respects our culture. This lady respected you so much, she actually played like she was you.
Plays was you, yeah,
And yet you had a problem with that.
right,
If a white person discriminates against you because you have locks, you got a problem with that. And you got a problem with them when they wear locks. So if they show respect to your culture, you don't like it. If they show disrespect to your culture, you don't like it. You know what it is? It's that Batman versus the Joker shit. That's all it is. It's this continuous back and forth, this continuous fighting, this continuous friction, this continuous conflict that people get off on. There is no solution to it. There is no end to it. It's the conflict itself that gets them aroused. Because the
right,
shit don't make no fucking sense.
right. And I've always had this thought too, because when it came to the term epistemology, I didn't know that there was a word that, described the way that I was thinking. But I think I was like, so like 3 years ago, I think I was like 20. And I was like, man, there's gotta be another way. Like all this, this American dream stuff, it's like it's not sticking right. Like it doesn't seem like it's aligned. And then when you broke down the definition, basically what do you do, how do you do it, and why, then it all started to click. Basically, what we're born into, like this is European, this is Western.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, we should think about, I'm thinking, so then what were my ancestors doing, right? And then you brought in African epistemology, because
Mm-hmm.
I just thought like I just thought it really didn't it just really didn't register, and I knew that there was different ways to do things, but I just couldn't put a finger on it exactly. And
Well, I think
then
the major problem is that the reason why it seems so, it doesn't fit right, it doesn't feel right, is because it's not right.
not right,
But the
right
thing is, you're not going to get an alternative viewpoint except where we're at right now.
now, exactly.
Because there's no place else where you're going to get an opposite viewpoint. There's no place else where you're going to hear things from the perspective of a nationalist,
Hmm.
from the perspective of people that want a land of their own, or a country of their own, and a government of their own. It's just baked into the cake that reality is what we're living here in America, and the conversation is basically how do we deal with it.
Right.
And
And
we ain't even really having a conversation about that,
that, not at all.
if you really think about it, because there's plenty of things that I would do if our option was America, and that was just the option on the table right now. There's plenty of things that I can think of that we can do right now.
Yeah.
Number one is finances. Every black celebrity, entertainer, movie star, whatever you are in the public eye, has better have an account with One United Bank. I'm picking that bank because that's the biggest bank, and the bank with the most marketing and promotion, and the one that everybody knows. I would make that the number one black bank in America. Every black person of substance, and people that have no substance or little
Mm.
substance should have their money in a One United Bank account, and take your money out of white banks. That's number one. That's something that you can do right here. Is anybody doing it right here? No, because doing it right here is a fucking joke.
It's a joke.
They have no intentions of doing it right here. And the people that push doing it right here are the people that's getting paid by being right here. These black talking heads that you're listening to is making money off of our situation. They have no vested interest to end their cash cow.
Mm.
So they're not gonna preach nationhood. They're not gonna preach going to Liberia, looking at Liberia as our nation state and pooling all of our resources to build up Liberia, to get rid of the corruption in Liberia, to clean up basically our house. They're not
Right.
putting no energy into that. All their energy is how to individually. Why do you think Kevin Samuels is so popular? And this is nothing against Kevin Samuels, because I never like when Trump got power. I wasn't one of these anti-Trump people bashing Trump. I mean, of course, Trump is an idiot, but that's like low-hanging fruit.
Fruit. Mm.
For me to create channels and content bashing Trump, I mean, how much low-hanging fruit can you get? That's like shooting fish in a barrel. So that's the
Right.
problem. It's like these people, they don't want to analyze what created a Donald Trump. They don't want to analyze what created a Kevin Samuels. And Kevin Samuels is the person who's the go-to person that everybody looks to for knowledge and understanding, like he's a great sage of wisdom. Because why? What's their ontology? What's their epistemology? Is it nationhood epistemology?
No, definitely not.
So they think it's individual. So he's appealing. What he's saying is fuck nationhood, fuck the collective. It's about you and what you
You.
have to do personally. So is he wrong?
No.
He's not wrong. That's why I don't waste my time attacking him. But what
Right.
I do attack is the whole concept of the individual versus the collective. If we want to get out of this hole, we are in collectively, because the individual is only as strong as the collective.
Right.
I can give
And
you so many examples of that.
and I always thought like with the with the understanding of nationhood, it's like a lot of people can't even get a grasp of it, because one example that I thought would be useful too is with dating, obviously, right?
Mhm.
When, because you brought up the one with the parents living under a parent's household. I thought, what about dating? Like, a lot of people can understand that, especially guys, that you should move on after you tried to please a woman and compromise and shit, and it just didn't work out. So why don't you just go your own way and create something of yourself? To where in that case, that person comes back or somebody new, they'll just fall in line.
Mm.
Like, you want to integrate with this person and basically please them by, dumbing yourself down or stripping away, whatever it is, your identity and such, just to be with them. And still, it's never going to be enough. It's always
Yeah.
something.
Let's address some of these questions because it seemed like they coming through. Do you see the one I
Okay.
got on the screen?
Yes. So Baruti said, so panelists, what is the narrative impact if blacks indicated that they weren't Americans but were US citizens? Does this provide freedom to identify as African? Please unpack my question.
Go for it.
Hello? You said me?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let me repeat it, because sometimes when I read the question, what is a narrative impact if blacks indicated that they weren't Americans but were US citizens? Oh, well, if they indicate that they weren't Americans but US citizens, I mean, then
That's what I call a distinction without a difference.
I was thinking, wouldn't that still be the same? Like, wouldn't they still,
You know
accept
what? You know what
themselves
that
as
question?
American?
No disrespect, but Rudy, but you know what that question reminds me of? It's like there's a girl who obviously don't want you to be her man. So instead of you going to get another girl, you say, "Well, wait. Well, all right, I'm not your man, but what if I was just your best friend?
Best friend. Damn.
Why are you fucking with that girl?
Yeah.
Because American and a U.S. citizen, it's like a distinction without, like a difference to me. What difference
Mm,
does it make? You want to call yourself an American, you want to call yourself a U.S. citizen, you still are U.S. centered. Stop being U.S. centered and be centered around your own reality.
reality.
So that's how I would address that question. Is like, it's not about does this provide freedom to identify as African. You wouldn't need freedom to identify as African in America if you were in Liberia.
Mm,
what like what's stopping you from identifying as African if you're living in Africa? Or if you're
mhm.
about, not even if you're living in Africa, but if you're about Africa, if you're about Liberia. I think this is a statement. Is it?
One travel brother on another channel mentioned how it took him 5 years to get the American brainwashing out of his system after he left to travel. Ronan, peace. Ronan said a large segment of African Americans have been conditioned to think like chocolate covered white folks. Militant integrationist ideas are supposedly revolution when these ideas weaken their stature.
Yep.
Peace to Dundada.
Peace done data.
I think we
Let's
had
see.
another one. Jose J. Bronze said citizenship is business, not identity.
Wait a minute. I lost track. Ronan
Oh,
condition.
I skipped that. I skipped that one that you just moved. My bad.
Oh, condition to think that constantly struggling is noble. It's not. Nobody wants to struggle to breathe. So collectively, we shouldn't have to struggle to have actual liberation. Facts.
Hmm.
Recently saw a study showing how black men in the U.S. have a 1 in 1,000 chance of being shot by the police. I can believe that because remember, there's a lot of this. There's like almost 50 million black people in America. We ain't all getting shot.
Right.
So I can believe that statistic, but that doesn't really disprove the reason for us not being here. I know that's not the point you're making, but a lot of people will use that to say, "Oh, well, it's overrated." Like certain Daily Bugle people. Okay, now we can get to Jose. There's a horizontal society and a vertical society. Vertical is from great grandparents to grandchildren. Horizontal is trying to impress people you don't know.
Mm,
Facts.
damn.
Facts.
Damn. Okay. Okay.
Baruti says, please expand on what are the factors that you believe created the clamor, tolerance, and appeal for both Donald Trump and Kevin. Oh, I think I did that. Oh, did I? Do I? I thought we touched on that.
Yeah, I think you did because you were talking about how Kevin Samuels is appealing to like the individual and how it should be about them and not really specifically talking about nationhood.
Yeah, it makes sense. Donald Trump was a response to Barack Obama and the Democrats, the neoliberals. I thought Michael Moore actually explained it better than anybody. He said that Donald Trump was the voters' way of throwing a Molotov cocktail into the political system.
Hmm.
That's how they viewed a vote for him. It's like they want him to fuck shit up because that's how tired they were of the establishment.
Smith. Mm.
And Kevin Samuels is just Kevin Samuels has been building for a long time, but nobody took note of it. I took note of it when Tommy Sotomayor was out. And I knew the reason why Tommy Sotomayor was so popular. And I know the reason why Kevin said because Kevin Samuels is a smarter version and a more professional and polished version of Tommy Sotomayor.
Mm.
And I hate to compare them because he's way more brighter than him. But the general philosophy is about individualism. Most of these guys are Republicans and conservatives. You can tell by the way that they talk. They believe in winners and losers in society. You know, oh, you just the win. Some people are winners, some people are losers, which is
Losers.
always from the perspective of the winner. You know, the winner is always talk about how, well, you know, it's just the way winners and losers. Everybody, you know, not everybody can be a winner, and that's because you're a winner.
A winner.
Because if you were a loser in the society, you wouldn't be talking that.
Right.
So it's just mighty convenient. It's, you know, like their political philosophy conveniently fits their life and where they are in their life. It's in that, you know, it's odd. It's odd that they don't know that. That's what's odd, because I think that we know, like the people that's push for, and it's so funny. It's exact opposite with people that, you know, who pushing for rights for the people at the bottom, because people like us are working class people. It's not like we broke. It's not like we starving.
Right.
We're working class people. So why is it that we're concerned about people that don't have anything? Maybe it's because we're human beings. Maybe it's because we're not self-centered and self-absorbed. And maybe it's because we're bright enough to realize that when you create a society of throwaway people, where do you think they're going to go? Do you think that these throwaway people are just going to disappear off the earth? Or do you think these throwaway people are going to be a problem for you?
Oh,
These
hell.
throwaway people are going to be the reason why you got to get extra security and gated communities and all of this technology to protect yourself and your family. Why, if you're an intelligent person, would you try to create an environment where your family can be harmed and where you can be harmed because people are out there starving?
Yeah. It reminds me of that season of Game of Thrones where the King's Landing, when the second son was king, and basically they were being manipulated by the poor. And like things was like really turning because, you know, then they brought in God, and like, you know, the queen was trapped, her brother was, then it got the king's mother, you know, trapped, and basically having them repent for their sins and to walk of shame naked and stuff. Like it was all because of how they treated their people
Right.
from the root of it. And when she finally broke free, she was like, shit, we gotta, you know, get extra security, and we gotta take these poor folks out. Like this is like the elite version of the poor because they know how to
Yeah.
manipulate by using the word of God.
Right. And it's
So
so easy. Like you're not going to get pushback when you go to people at the bottom and you tell them you're not being looked at. You're looked at as being insignificant. You don't think you're going to get their back? Of course they're going to have your back. If they feel that you're working in their interest, they're going to have your back because nobody looks out for them. It's just like in India. And this is what I was trying to get, you know, I don't want to go into that because nobody was on the conference call with us, but one of the things that I'm really, really good at, now I don't brag too often. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I call myself an idiot. But there's one thing that I'm really fucking good at. And you know what it is?
what's that?
Asking the right question. I'm really good at asking the right question. Because if you notice, when I asked that question in the conference, that elevated the whole conversation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A
Because
lot of
that's what
stuff opened up.
exactly. You have to know how to ask the right
Great
questions. It's not just
questions.
asking questions. You got to ask the right question. You got to ask the question that elicits what it is that we actually talking about. Because when I said the question that I asked in the conference call was, what do you think is the single major obstacle to Liberian progress? And I was asking this to Liberians.
Right.
And they kind of answered it without directly answering it, but the general conclusion is the government.
Yeah.
The people in power, the people that are in the government are the problem, because no matter how much the money that gets funneled to Liberia from the United States, and it ain't a lot, which is crazy. It's not even a lot. But the money that gets funneled to Liberia is basically just to pay off corrupt politicians. And there was something that I found out in that conference call that I want to share with you guys. Were you aware that a Liberian senator makes more than a U.S. senator? That a Liberian president makes more than a U.S. president? And not by a little bit, by a lot. Were you aware of that? Because when I found that out on the call, and I was completely ignorant of that, because it wasn't one of the things that I would even research because it never popped into my mind. I just assumed America has what, over 300 million people in it?
Million people, yeah.
What does Liberia have? 5? So I didn't even think to even question that. So when the guy said it, I was like, whoa, back up. What did you just say?
I had to hear that again just to be sure when I was on that call too. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I said, wait a minute. You gotta say that again. Are you telling me that a Liberian senator makes more than a U.S. senator? And he confirmed it. I was like, wow, my mind was blown after that. Because then now it made perfect sense. It makes perfect sense why shit is the way that it is. And why nothing seems to change, why no progress seems to be made. Now we have an idea.
Yeah.
You want to answer that question?
Baruti said, Holla, please go back into the Black gender war. Do Black men feel as a loser? Do Black women feel that they are not a loser? Or are both losers, but don't want to admit it within the U.S. system?
Damn, Baruti, you just answered your own question.
Yeah, I was going to say the last one, because there's something I like what you said, Hala, where it's everybody's fault in general, but nobody's fault specifically.
Right.
You know, men say that, they want the woman to submit, and the Black woman this, and really breaking down, just like as people break down, how we've been beaten, got a foot up in our ass. There's people that are breaking down how the Black woman is to this day, how modern women act, when really they're not looking at the root of it, is that we're under a different system that is not complementary to us. And so you're basically saying you want to be a king and whatnot. Well, where's your plan? Like, where's your program? What's your system? Because if you're saying that we should lead and we're the head, then we need to take action, basically. Like, and it was something that an elder had mentioned. It was a nice little quote. she said boys make excuses, men take action.
Right.
And I'll pass it to you.
I hate using the terms alpha and beta because I think that
oh man,
it's misunderstood and it's overutilized. But just for sake of this discussion, I'll use this. If you're an alpha men don't need permission from women to be men. So when I hear men complaining about, well, the reason why we can't do it because a Black woman, if only the Black woman would act right, then maybe I could be a man. Then you're not a fucking alpha male. You're a beta male. Because there's no way in the hell you can say that you are alpha male and complain about what women is doing and why women is doing what they're doing is the reason why you can't do what you do.
Right.
And the fact that you don't know that says volumes. Because can you imagine the men, the white men in this government sitting around complaining that their women won't let them do something? Oh God, I want to do this and I want to pass this bill, but God, my wife, man, I don't understand why she don't act right. Get the fuck out of here, man. And this is not to say, listen, And I think people get confused when I say that. This is not to say that I'm all pro the black woman is God and she's the most this and that and she never does anything wrong, because I got a lot of shit to say about women. A lot of shit to say about their delusions. But my thing is this: I can get engaged in that back and forth argument all day long because it goes nowhere. Or we can address the root cause of all of this bullshit, which is we don't live in our own context. We live in somebody else's context. And we trying to sit up here and judge ourselves by somebody else's standards when we don't, they're in power and we're not.
Right.
So we in a fucking foxhole. Me, the black man and the black woman is in a foxhole together. Gunfire going off over our heads. And we're sitting up here complaining because our women ain't as feminine as the women who's not in the foxhole. Because I have a serious question for everybody in this chat room. I don't know how many people are listening right now.
We got 11. Oh my God.
I want to ask y'all a question. And this is a serious question because this is one that I had to ask myself. If there is no Africa option, and I'm speaking to the black men in the chat room, and I want an answer to that, to what I'm about to ask you. Africa is off the table. America is all we got. And basically our plight in life is to basically be second and third class citizens in America. Because if Africa is off the table, that's basically what we're going to be. So that's the context of the question that I'm about to ask you. If that's the context, as a black man, are you going to teach your daughter to be this feminine, submissive, relying on a man? Or are you going to teach your black daughter to be self-sufficient? Which one are you going to teach your daughter? Because I had to ask myself that. I don't have a daughter, but I had to ask myself that question. And y'all can answer in the chat room and let me know. Which one would you go for? Now, keep in mind, the context is living here in America, where you have zero socioeconomic and political power. What are you going to teach your daughter? You going to teach her to be self-sufficient, or you going to teach her to rely on a black man? Be honest. I mean, if you are going to teach her to rely on a black man, hey, more power to you. But I just want an honest answer. Think about that and give me an answer in the chat room.
I'm looking at the chat right now. See who's going to answer first.
Feel free to answer anytime. Context matters. Context matters. If we don't control the context, then we got to operate differently. See, Vic says I'm going with self-sufficient. And I am too, Vic. You know why? Because that's bright. That's intelligent. You're reading the tea leaves, you're reading the room, and you're going, wait a minute, am I going to put my daughter's life at risk with a bunch of men who don't even have the balls to achieve socioeconomic and political power? I'm going to trust that they're going to look after my daughter. I'll tell my daughter, listen, what I'm about to teach you will probably have you alone. I'm going to be honest with them. I say, listen, this is not the time. I'm going to teach you very masculine characteristics that probably will turn off a lot of men. And you might end up being alone, but I will tell you this: you'll know how to take care of yourself, and you'll have money, and you'll be secure within yourself. You won't ever be without, because you have taken care of yourself, and you'll be self-sufficient. I would do that. Now, that's just me. That's just me. I don't want to impose myself on anybody else. But if I had daughters in this country, knowing that there's no way out, I'm going to teach my girls to be self-sufficient. Fuck that.
Yeah.
These black men couldn't even put their energy together to go to Liberia and establish their own nation state. And I'm going to trust that my baby girl is going to be safe and secure in these motherfuckers' hands? No. Now, let's flip it around. Let me ask the same question. If we were in Liberia and Liberia was our nation state, and we were in control of the government, and we were building up Liberia. And I'm talking about building up the villages, building up the roads and the highways, creating traffic systems so that it's not this bottleneck when you get to the main capital in Monrovia, making our just making our infrastructure top notch, making our seaports and airports and all of this top notch. And this is the society that was ours. We were doing good. Our economy was great. Now, would you teach your daughter to be submissive and cooperate with a man, or would you teach her to be self-sufficient in that environment? One example, one context is America. The other context is Liberia. So now we're talking about Liberia. What would you teach your daughter in that context? Because I know what I would teach mine.
In that context, I would teach her to be submissive in that one.
Right. Because I'd want her to have a family. I want her to be with a man and to get her enjoyment from that. And get her fulfillment from that, because that's where women get their fulfillment from children and a family.
Right. And then also on top of that too, we were in control to build these things and create it to our liking. From the chat. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think wait, let me go back up.
You want me to read it?
Oh, did anybody answer about what they would do in Liberia? I haven't seen anybody answer that.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. You want me to read the ones from the first question?
Which one, Baruti's?
The well, after Vic, whoa baby.
Whoa baby.
He was answering the first question with if Africa was off the table and we just had America.
Yeah, whoa baby gave the same answer that I did.
Okay.
Dundada says he teach him to be self-sufficient. And then Baruti's. That's the one?
Yeah.
Oh, Jabari's in the chat. Yeah, what's up, Jabari?
What's good? How's everybody doing?
Everybody's
Peace, man. Peace.
Just bear with us for a second before you come in. We want to get these questions out of the way. Africa off the table and the US the only option. If so, I would teach my daughter and son to be self-sufficient and to complement each other. Inferiority of women comes from a Zungo Adam and Eve story. Okay. Well, basically he said the same thing I did. Then Dada says, adapt to the environment you're in. Exactly. Only Scam said, yeah, self-sufficiency makes more sense in that context. But Rudy says, if we are in Africa and in our own geospace, if so, I would teach my daughter and son to be self-sufficient and to complement each other. Inferiority of women comes from a Zungo Adam and Eve story. You said, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Operation can also make sense in your foxhole analogy. Yeah, but that's the people that's actually fighting. Because a lot of us is in the foxhole and we're not fighting. We playing Xbox. Being a team player is best for our nation and generations to come. Umoja is here. Peace.
Peace, Umoja.
If Africa was on the table, I want my daughter to submit. There you go. Anybody else? Whoa, baby answered. Anybody else? If Liberia was our context, if we control the socioeconomic and political context, would you teach your daughter to be self-sufficient and don't need a man? Or would you teach her to be submissive and cooperate with a man? Which one?
I think people need to understand the importance of lexicon and vocabulary. There's a difference between being dominant and being domineering. They're two different things. Domineering is when you attempt to take control aggressively. So you're being over aggressive, you're being very condescending, arrogant. Dominant just means you control the situation, but you're coming from it from a leadership perspective, right? And people think that it's just dominant and submissive in terms of black men and black women, but you do it in your everyday life. as a worker, you're submissive to your employer. Your employer is the dominant person. He makes the decisions. He's the one who facilitates things. So technically, even in your workplace, you're coming from a submissive perspective. It's just when we think of submissive, people think of submissive, they think doormat. They think I
Right.
should be able to run over you. That's not what I'm saying. I'll test personally. I'm a submissive person, but I ain't no doormat. You're not just gonna run over me. I'm not gonna be like, hey, you can step on me and do whatever you want. No, that's not what submissive
I'm
means.
glad you made that distinction because I know the definition so well that I don't even feel the need to explain it, but I'm glad that you did because a lot of people make that mistake.
Mm.
A lot of people really seriously make that mistake. It's like they look at the dominant as, like you said, domineering, and the submissive is basically a dog. And if that's the way you look, of course you turned off by that, but
But
because you have no understanding of what those terms mean. Because like the analogy that you gave of working at an office is exactly what it is. You're not in a dominant position if you're an employee. You're in a submissive position. So does that mean that you're less than a person because you're an employee? No. It's just that's the role that you have to play within the context of that situation. I notice nobody's answering the Liberia question.
uh-oh.
Fellas, let me repeat it. In the context, I gave you first the US context and what I would do. And I asked what you would do in terms of raising your daughters. I'm saying if there was a context that we control the socioeconomic and political context that we exist in, we control it's our nation, our government, our society, and we're thriving and we're doing well. Would you teach your girls that be self-sufficient and not need a man?
No,
Attributes and
I
traits.
think holla, holla.
Hold on a second. Attributes and traits that are not desirable to most men.
What I was gonna say was I was gonna add this real quick. Be self-sufficient and interdependent, not independent, interdependent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would add. Interdependent as well.
Okay.
Self-sufficient and interdependent.
Cool. The
Because
last
ain't
one was my
nobody
Liberian.
independent. Ain't nobody intimate.
I didn't see his last one. Oh, being a team player is best for our nation and generations to come. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody? I think most of them did answer. Like I think if you scroll up, Whoa Baby answered, Vic answered, I think Dundada and Ronan answered. Yeah, interdependent. Cool. Cool.
So maybe I think we already did cover it, or maybe touched on a little.
Mm-hmm.
But why is it that our people should embrace? That was one of the questions. Embrace African epistemology.
The same reason why fish should embrace water. I'll keep it simple. Hey, what's up, fly guy? Baruti asked, my answer addressed the Africa option. I use the name Africa, but Liberia can be substituted. By the way, I mentioned the complement, but I mean the same thing as Jabari's term, interdependent. Fair enough. I'll go for that. Women cater to actual men in power. Wow, that sounds familiar. Who said that? Key is to conquer positions on the stage of world power to get respect from all Black women. Or maybe the key, Jose, is to go, these black women ain't acting right. They not letting me be a man. If they could only let me be a man, then I could stand up and pee. Why don't they act right? It's not fair. Maybe that's another option.
Maybe they say maybe if black women would stop taking masculine roles, despite the fact that y'all, the ones who say that ain't nowhere to be seen and ain't got nothing to show for it, then we'll get somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. If I was a father, well, you missed that part. But I said if I was a father and my context was America and Africa was off the table and we had nowhere else to go but America, I would teach my daughters to be self-sufficient and not need a man.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So if you want to know why you're being treated the way you are here in this country, maybe that's the reason. Maybe a lot of fathers don't have any faith in you. Because they looking at the landscape, they're reading the room and going, I don't know, sis. We got to get you up to speed. I'm gonna teach you how to shoot a gun, teach you some hand-to-hand combat. I'm gonna teach you how to get your money and your paper right, because you cannot rely on these niggas.
I'm gonna train you to be
And
killable.
and also I think that also protects the gender-based violence. I mean, think about it. If you're living in a context where men are supposed to be aggressive, domineering, and don't respect women, don't see women as being their equals, then it leads to teaching your daughters, hey, you got to be protective. You can't trust no man, because that's the system that you teach the men to grow up in, to not be in a position to respect women, but instead are supposed to, condescend them or treat them like their property.
And you know what's funny, Jabari? They just totally dismiss one aspect of this so-called alpha male that they're always talking about. Alpha males are very protective of women. That's what they consider their job, is to protect women. But they just leave that part out.
Oh shit.
They leave that part out.
I wish I had my mallet. Damn. I even forgot about that.
Isn't that true?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
they
true.
figure that's their role. Their role is to protect the woman. So they're not going to be beating up and abusing the woman. That's not an alpha male. Like I said, I hate even using those terms because people don't understand the terms and they misuse them all the time and people get confused.
Right.
Hey, Patrick in the chat, and I agree with what he said. He said, in my opinion, that should be taught regardless of gender and living situation.
What should be taught?
Can you elaborate on that, Patty Black? You said, in my opinion, that should be taught regardless of gender and living situation.
I think maybe we probably conflating two different things. What I'm saying is this whole philosophy of I don't need a man should not be taught in our situation. I don't see how that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I go for what you said, interdependence.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's helpful to teach women that, I don't need no man. Fuck that. That's an American thing. And I don't blame them.
That's not just an American thing. That's an individualistic perspective. You're coming from individual, because we live in an individualistic culture. So we think we do everything by ourselves. We don't need nobody. We don't need a society. I can do it myself. And it's like, no, some things you can't do by yourself. You need other people. Yeah. Yeah.
In other words, American, basically.
Yeah.
Fly Guy said, I think it's silly that some black men complain about black women not submitting when they control nothing in America. Jose said, I must confess that I'm hella sarcastic on social media. Oh, okay. That's the statement. Yumo just said, regarding accepting African epistemology, we're African. It's clear that American and Western ways does not work for us. Look around. We're circles being forced into square pegs.
Basically.
And then
Mm.
Only Scam says, what about the Samson option? Oh man, that was my favorite.
The Samson option. Yeah, what about it?
Who was your favorite team, sir? Uh, the Patriots. Oh, that explains it. I said the Patriots and the Cowboys. Oh man. Then Jose says that factor about men protection is our job is called codependent. Here and there, it's about to fall under personality disorder.
Okay, he says learning self-defense and survival skills. Yeah, I agree with that.
I
definitely
think
agree
I
with
think
that.
you got to understand the difference between interdependent and codependent. Codependent means you're entirely dependent on one person. Interdependent means we need each other. So
Right.
yeah, if you're codependent and you depend on somebody to live, that's deeply problematic. I don't encourage no black woman to say depend on your man like your life depends on it. Like don't get no survival skills, don't teach yourself finances, don't be self-sufficient. Depend entirely on that man. Nah, I'm not for that. If it is,
Mm,
listen, you need to work with your man. You guys need to work on together, find your strengths and weaknesses and go from there. I'm all for that. But if it's all right, I need this man for everything. I can't live by myself. I can't be self sufficient. Then nah, that is a personality like disorder.
right.
Yeah, I believe in roles, and I think that like when you brought up the situation at a job, the role of the employer and the role of the employee. You know,
Oh,
you
Nicole
can't have.
Radford. Oh, she went in. A girl. That is exactly it.
Wait, let me see. What did she say? Those type of black men say they are a man, but up here crying. Thank you. Which one are you, a man or a Wawa baby? A man does what? Protect, provide, partner, etc. Can you provide your own food, clothing, shelter? Thank you. And I've been getting pushback on that, Nicole. Right? You know, underrated. I've been getting pushback. Like this guy was going back and forth with me. I'm like, so I said,
Oh
yo,
yeah,
son, that video that you had put out where you was
yeah.
taking clips from me, and I said, okay, so now what? Now that you know that black women are the problem, now what? Oh, well, they gotta act right. Oh, so you're gonna sit back and get your ass kicked and wait for them to get their shit to get. So then who's the real man in that situation? Men,
Mm-hmm.
alpha men don't need permission from women to be men. So you talking about what she ain't doing right. You know what that means? That means that you have not created the environment for her to live in.
Mm.
And now
No.
you're trying to legislate her behavior based on this dysfunctional environment that you refuse to get her out of.
Mm-hmm. One fly guy said he thinks some people say that welfare divided the black community. In my opinion, no, because we can blame that entirely on mass incarceration. Getting on welfare ain't got nothing to do with the fact that black men were being locked up for drug offenses and black women were forced to basically, take care of the house by themselves because our men were being locked up in prison and jail rates unlike anything before. So I don't even think it's welfare. It was clearly, black destruction, destruction of the black family, mass incarceration, the war on drugs that led to all of this, economic deindustrialization, you name it. In our nation, it wouldn't matter if we had people on welfare because we would have a support system for them so that they can still be together and still have a functioning family. But in America, there's no programs to try to rehabilitate or keep people together or make sure that things are stable. It's every man for themselves, and if you can make it, that's how it's like. But no, I
Can
don't
I
think it's welfare. No.
can I address that?
Yes.
And this is no disrespect to the person that asked. I don't even know who asked that question. Who was it?
Fly
Or
guy.
maybe it was a
Fly guy.
statement. I don't know.
No, he
Yeah,
was talking
Fly
about
Guy. This
some
is
people.
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing against
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
or anything, but I'm just making a statement. That conversation about the destruction of the black family is the type of conversation you have in a cafe with your legs crossed, sipping latte. This is the answer. Being in America is what destroyed the black family.
Thank you, white supremacy. Thank you.
We don't have to go no further than that. We ain't got to go to the 60s or
Holla
some
simplifies
particular
it.
period.
Holla simplifies it so well. He like, just give me one word. I'll just give you one word, one sentence.
Yeah, being in America. When we were brought over here, that destroyed the black family. Next. A lot of these are just these intellectual conversations that people want to engage in, this woke shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no need for any further analysis here. There really isn't. That's why I enjoyed the conversation that we had yesterday, man, because it's like we get into the root of the problem and we get into solution oriented type,
Yeah, because we
procedures and
had
techniques.
we got a lot of gems yesterday. Oh,
Yeah, man. I mean, my mind was blown when he said that because and the reason why it was blown, Jabari, I was not even looking at that. That was a fact that I didn't even research because I was like, wait a minute, there's no way in the hell. Liberia has what, 5 million people?
yep.
5 million people compared to the US that has over 300 million. So in my mind, I'm like, it's no way in hell a Liberian senator can make more than a US senator. I didn't even bring that into my. So when he said that, my mind was literally blown. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? These guys gotta go. This is not even a discussion. They gotta go.
Yeah.
And then also the quick thing. This destroys the where the land at. We got the land.
Right.
The land is not a problem.
What did the brother say? The brother said that there's about 500 acres of land. He said you don't even have to buy it. All you have to do is come to them with a plan. Because what they're interested in is somebody who's gonna help the country, build up the country, make the country better. It's not about selling land for money. Because why? They're bright enough to know if we build up the land, all of us is gonna make money. It's gonna be good for all of us.
Man. Epistemology.
Holla, tell only scams.
Let me put it to you this way. The U.S. president, if I'm not, wait, let me see, because he said 600. Let me just confirm that. I don't want to. How much does POTUS make? Okay, according to the Title III of the U.S. Code, the president earns $400,000 salary and is still on government payroll after leaving office. So it's 400. I don't know. He said 600. I don't know where he got that from.
I think he was saying, is that how much the Liberian senators make?
No. They make millions.
Oh. That part I missed.
The Liberian president makes millions. The senators, let me see what a U.S. senator makes.
What?
U.S. senators and House representatives make $174,000 a year.
Wow.
Let's just put it this way. Liberian senators make much more than that.
Wow.
5 million people compared to 300 million, and you got them caking out. So the little bit of money that they get from the U.S. government, because the U.S. don't give them a whole lot of aid. They give much more to Israel. But the little bit that they do get from the U.S. goes straight into these politicians' pockets. And then we sitting back wondering why Liberia is the way that it is.
It is.
And I'm quite sure we could say this in front of the Liberian people and they would be on our side. They wouldn't be sitting up here saying, oh, how they talking about our country like that. They know goddamn well what the problem is.
Mm.
And that phone call proved it. And that's the reason why I asked that question. Because I wanted to get an idea of where, you know, their heads was at. And they showed me it's right with us. People talk about reparations. And what Jabari was saying, like if we get reparations to Liberia, first of all, we got to get rid of the people that's there now.
Yeah.
Because if Liberia was to get reparations, you think they caking out now? That shit will go straight to the government, straight to the politicians, and the people would get shit.
Mm.
But that also feeds into African epistemology, collectivism, collective ownership, you know, distribution. Everybody gets something, not on this individualistic. It's about my interest, me, myself, and I. It's about we. There is a reason why we have the phrase called Ubuntu. I am because we are.
No, that ain't no Liberian dollars, son. I know it's hard to believe. That is USD.
And the thing about it, you know what's absolutely disgusting about that? Do you not know what the GDP per capita is in Liberia for the entire year?
I can't imagine, man.
$620 is what the average Liberian person makes. There are literally months, and we did the interview. Y'all can go listen to the interview from last week. He said literally there are civil servants who don't get paid for months.
Wow.
65% of Liberians live on less than $1 a day, $2 a day.
And their politicians make more than U.S. politicians. I would love to see the laws involving salary. Do you know what those laws are, Jabari?
I'm not specifically sure, but I don't think there's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits like a particular maximum salary. I didn't see that in the Constitution. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's something that needs to be worked on. That's something that definitely needs to be worked on, because there's no way in the fuck with the GDP of the average Liberian is $620 and the government officials is making millions.
Yeah, that's why they were talking about this focus on Liberia, but they were talking about how a lot of it's affected the youth so much that's all the youth want to be. They want to be politicians. They want to be the Ministry of Youth. They want, because that's where all the bread is. Ain't nobody want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be politicians, a Ministry of the Youth, Ministry of Communications, because that's all they see. They see, well, the government getting rich. Well, that's the only other outlet.
Absolutely.
It's a candy store. Candy store. They gotta go.
Yeah. And you know what, Holla, that from what Jabari was saying, how the youth are going towards to where the money is and politicians, that pretty much is the same how it is here, where the conscious community tells us, you know, knowledge is self and read all these books and such, when it really doesn't. I mean, it benefits, but not really to a certain degree. And it's like, I'd rather, you know, be a rapper and sell my soul, quote unquote, whatever, you know, and have all these tats to make millions than to be smart and not provide for myself. It's like, what sense does that make?
No, Dendada, it's not an error, son.
It's not.
This is from the mouth of Liberian.
Yeah, like literally, we were speaking to people who have boots on the ground in count, like who we can make some noise once we go next year. Like we're speaking from the horse's mouth. Like they're telling you they making bread. Like they making bread. We can prove this by one situation, right? The equivalent of like $1 billion disappeared from nobody knows where the money is. Nobody knew where that it was a huge scandal, but it was 16 billion Liberian dollars, like like 20 billion Liberian dollars, like equivalent to like a billion or like 500 million, just disappeared. They don't know. They don't know what happened. They don't know what happened to money.
I understand why Dundada doesn't believe it, because it's unfucking believable. Because I had the same reaction. I had the exact same reaction. They are caking the fuck out, dude. They ain't making no 174,000 USD. They making way more than that.
And not only that, the president refuses to show us his assets. He refuses to show us his assets. And when people ask him that, right, all of a sudden there's fights going on and people are getting, attacked. Wait a minute, what's going on now? Why won't you show us the money you got? Why are you building a bunch of mansions? Because people notice that you're building a lot of mansions. So what's going on here?
Some ain't right.
Yeah, we know what it is. We know what it is. It ain't confusing. And that's why I'm saying, like, that's a very popular position. If you go after the people who's ripping the people off and caking out, we got the hearts and minds of the people on our side.
Seeing a lot of yachts, shrimp caviar.
We got the hearts and minds of the people on our side. Trust me on that.
And that was originally was gonna be my subject, but like I said, I was moving in, so I wasn't able to do it like at the beginning. But that's why I said our thing was was originally supposed to be all hands on deck. Like now we know the situation and what needs to be done, and we need to bring specifics. It's all hands on deck now. No more of this. We're being specific on what we're trying to do, where we're trying to go, and what we need to get done. Period. Point blank in a discussion.
Yeah.
Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button.
Well, was there anything else? I mean, I think we've
I think Baruchi was asking some questions.
Oh yeah.
Capitalism and socialism. My position on that is there's no purely capitalist and purely socialist society. It's what we call a mixed economy. Because if you lived in a purely capitalistic society, you would have private police and a private military, which we don't have. That's government funded and that's government ran. So you have a combination of both capitalism and socialism. I think for a lot of Pan-Africans, they lean towards socialism because hyper-capitalism leads to ridiculous exploitation. And we're seeing that right now with climate change, the pandemic where billionaires are making trillions of dollars. So that's why there's this debate going on. Imperialism, that's where that debate is. Dundada, they're making $600K US dollars, not Liberian dollars. We're being specific. $600K US dollars. We're not talking about Liberian dollars. We're talking about like literally hundreds of thousands of US dollars.
Because that's how they get paid in US dollars. US is sending them USD.
Fatty Black made such a great point. Oh, well, go ahead.
What
Go
is
ahead.
that?
Go answer that, and then you can get to Fatty's point.
No, I was saying that the conversion rate just makes them cake out even more in their own country.
Mm.
It's people don't like capitalism but advocate for black business. It's like I said, these are these tea house cafe legs cross conversations. It's just intellectual masturbation. They don't even know what capitalism is. And the funny thing about it is they participate in it, use all the vehicles of it, and then go act like they're against it at the same time.
And they don't want to build an alternative system.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. You have a problem with the system, okay, but are you going to build an alternative system? Because once you destroy the system, you have to replace it with something. Otherwise, the same system will re-rise again. So,
And where's the prototype of the system that you want to use? Show me a working model. Show me a working model that you want to. Like I said, I don't have a problem with people giving me all the great virtues of the Ankh, but unless you show me how an Ankh can power a city, I'm not trying to hear about it. I'm free in my mind, but your body's in jail. But my mind is free. Because the real cage is here, my brother. That's where the real cage is. And you having this conversation when they go, lock up. Phone check, nigga.
yeah, Fatty is so right. A lot of people don't know what terms they're using even means. They don't even know what it means. They don't know who created the terms. All they do is just talk. They just it's like what they were talking about, the infantilization of our culture, where everything is just single buzzwords, no complex conversations, no debate. It's just a bunch of, you're a socialist, you're a communist. Well, how can I be both a socialist and a communist at the same time? Joe Biden is a communist. What?
Oh man.
Joe Biden is the most capitalist president we probably ever had.
Oh god. Lock up.
Phone check, motherfucker.
All of you stupid.
But you not in jail though. The real jail is the mind, brother.
Oh my god.
Your mind and your body is in jail.
Oh shit. Oh. Lock up. Phone check, Nick. Whoa, baby said swine, my brother. Oh my god.
Look what Fatty says, and I made this point when I said when I was talking about the afterlife. He says we're only living a human experience, which I don't even understand that statement. So why don't we just kill ourselves and become your true form, the spirit? Which is what I said about the afterlife. If the afterlife is so great, why hasn't anybody come and let us know how wonderful it is? And made us say, hey, listen, nigga, y'all need to kill yourself right now. Because this is the shit over here. Why y'all living? Why y'all living? The real heaven is here. He's like, word? Ain't nobody came back to say shit. So miss me with that bullshit, man. Yeah, everybody, crazy. All this is people's way of not dealing with reality.
Y'all crazy.
What is he saying? An Ubuntu, an alternative concept which can be used to articulate an African or African-centered economic. So please, he's probably talking to Patrick.
Oh my god. gosh, man.
Oh, that's Baruti and Patrick talking. But is there anything else you want to discuss about the concept, about the topic underrated?
Nah, I think we touched on everything. Was that all the questions too that we had answered?
I believe so. The question Baruti's asking is he's addressing to Patrick, so I don't see anybody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dundada, man. Yo, oh, Dundada, I'm glad you're listening because I sent you a message on the Signal app. What we're trying to do is we want to do a show involving infrastructure in Liberia. We want you on the panel, Ronan on the panel, Jabari, and Minister Dawood, and Yamoja. So if you can do that, or if you're down to do it, just go to the Signal group, to the BAIO group in the Signal, and we can kind of try to coordinate that, see what time works best for everybody. But we definitely want to do a show. We want to get maps of Liberia. Ronan got maps of the road system in there and stuff like that, and he was analyzing that. I was hoping that you can get some maps, or we can share some maps, and we can kind of like map out and see what improvements could be made and stuff like this. It's I sort of see it as our resume to the Liberian people. I think it would be an excellent show. It'll be a show that that we can get a lot of good content and good stuff out of, and everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah, my last thing, I'll address this point. Do I think the concept of Ubuntu can be an economic, narrative? Yes, to a degree, because if you and I are products of our environment, that means everything that you do affects others around you. So making sure that you distribute the wealth, making sure that you look out for other people's social safety nets, that can be an economic narrative. So yes, I think Ubuntu can be an economic narrative. And lastly, like Khalid said, bringing our resume, and of course, we need y'all to get as many people to sign up because we got the support. Like I said, that was just one. We haven't talked to other groups out there that are more than willing to welcome us and accomplish us. When we go on our trip, we're not gonna have no problem on our trip. We're gonna have very little problems with the trip. It's now we need y'all to get as many people because we need numbers. We need resources.
And
that's really what it's coming down to. Yeah, that's what we need. If you know somebody in agriculture, please tell them to sign up. If you know anybody who does civil, architectural, mechanical, plumbers, healthcare, transportation, you name it, sign them up. We need as many people so that we can blow them out the water park and we just take it from there.
And the brother Dundada asked a question. Can you see it?
Yes. What day are you particularly free? Because I can make room practically any of the days. I mean, I am starting school, but I can make room certain days. It's just what time do you want to do it? Because we put the we can give you the link. That's not a problem. I just need to know what specific days you're trying to do it.
And also, Dundada, go to the Signal group. That's probably the best way. Like if you go into the Signal group, the BAIO group on Signal, and we can kind of coordinate it from that. Because one of the brothers on there, and Jabari could correct me if I'm wrong, he said that it's not about selling land for them. It's about who can help them utilize the land the most properly. He said, he mentioned something like a figure of about 500 acres or something like that. He said that is there for development. All they want is a plan.
Yeah.
They just want somebody to have a plan on what to do with that land.
Yeah. And also when we talk about farmland, they were talking about the fact that 70% of the people in that region do agriculture, and they still can't feed themselves because they're doing subsistence farming. They're not doing agribusiness or industrialized farming. So that's why I said, if you know somebody who does industrialized farming, has tractors, has, irrigation, that's who we need. Those are the people we need to reach out to, and because we need that. That's really what it is.
And the roads and the highway system is tied to that too. That's another reason why they can't do what they want to do. So it's all tied together. There's so many things that we have. All of the skills that we have in this group could be utilized. Like Ronan's skill is Ronan works with traffic all day long. He knows that shit like the back of his hand. So what better place to utilize that in the place where it's needed? Because there's a big ass bottleneck in Monrovia. Because you get caught in that traffic, you're there for hours because there's no alternate routes. There's no different roads and highways leading. It's no interconnectivity. So I think that would be a great show. I think it'll be a productive show. And like I said, it'll be basically a BAIO resume to the people of Liberia. That we're serious, man. We're serious. We're not just playing games.
Yep.
So,
and like we said, we got everything. We got there's there's not a single group that won't work with us. They just like they said, they're looking for specifics. What do you want and what can you do? That's what they want. They don't want a vagueness or just like how, people in the conscious community talk vaguely. No, we need specifics. What do you want and what can you provide, and we can do it for you and we can get it for you. And that's what we are trying to do.
Yeah, just what Ronan was providing in terms of the roads and the highway system is useful information. Somebody can listen to that live stream and get some, oh wait, there's Dundada. Hey. Hello? Dundada?
Dundada.
Peace.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Up, bro?
Hey, what's going on?
Long time no chat, my Brownsville brother.
What's going on?
I'm good.
Okay, so am I getting feedback?
I do hear it, but it sounds. Somebody got their computer
small.
on?
Hold on.
Turn off the computer audio. That's probably what it is.
Hold on. Let me see.
That's not me.
Oh, it went away now.
Yeah.
Yo, Dundada, are you on an open mic?
No, I got a headset in.
Okay,
Is it me?
It's not that bad. I don't hear it.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't hear it like that.
No, I got a headset in. Hold on. I think I have a delay.
Yeah, I do hear it in the background, but it's not, that bad.
Hold on.
But yeah, that's definitely like if we get some maps of Liberia and just look at the, just map it out and can give some real, good feedback in terms of how things should be done or how we envision things to be done. That lets people know that we're dead serious, man. And we got professional people who know what they're fucking talking about.
Facts.
Yeah, like I said, this BIO trip next year is really what's gonna be the breakthrough. This trip next year is really gonna be the breakthrough.
I believe so.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can.
All right, y'all getting feedback?
Not at all.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think I had the show on the other link.
Yo, Dendata, what is Ali's profession?
He's a land surveyor.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. That would be perfect.
Yeah, he does land surveying.
I don't know if he's listening, but he's more than welcome to be in that panel too.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on here.
Yeah, you've been doing your thing, bro.
I've been busy working, traveling, changing positions, a lot of stuff, man, and school. So
Yeah. That's the type of stuff. If you're not going to be around, as long as you're doing that, you're doing good.
yeah, so I'm working on my urban planning degree. I'm working on a bachelor's degree in that. So
Cool.
That's what's up, man.
yeah, so I was just so when y'all was talking about the money, I was like, wait a minute, that don't even sound right. But if you're saying that them, yeah, they juicing the economy, man.
Yeah, that's the reason why
We're
the
talking
economy.
USD, son.
That's why not a lot of stuff has been built. That's why their salaries are enough to build schools and fund schools, and the schools are not being built because they caking up so much money. And let's not forget, some of these senators are war criminals. Like Prince Johnson is a war criminal that is a known warlord. And so when they tried to do the Economics and War Crimes Council, he all of a sudden gets nervous and says, well, that was back 20 years ago, and we don't need an Economics and War Crimes Court. And we just like, why are you on the Budget and Finance Committee, number one? Number two, you're supposed to be in jail. So, number three, you shouldn't be saying anything. The best you could do is step down as a senator and just don't say anything.
Yeah, I've heard y'all. I heard y'all talking about Liberian stuff. I chime in. I listen in every now and then, but so I'm not familiar with it. But so have anybody been there, or this is what y'all going to this year or next year?
Next year. We're doing this next year.
Okay. So I take it you already got contacts there and stuff. So that should be good.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, cool.
Jabari, do you think that your contacts could get their hands on some detailed maps?
I think I can. I think I can get them on some detailed maps. I would just have to ask them for it.
I think they can go to their city hall or and get the overlays and stuff from there. I think it's free to the public. So probably just have to make copies depending on what kind of system they have.
Dendata, is Google Earth helpful to you?
Yes and no. It gives me an idea of how it looks, but those are kind of like pictures that was taken. They do those over the years, so
right.
But just to get an idea of it, yeah, I can Google Earth would be fine. I can look at that. So are y'all trying to go to the coast, or what y'all going inland?
Well, so the meeting that we have, that county is located a little bit in the inland, like rural areas. So it's not on the coastline. It's not too far from the coastline, but it's not on the coastline. It's further inland, but it's like an hour or two away. It's not too long. It's like an hour or two so away, but it's in the inland.
The biggest issues is roads and highways.
The infrastructure.
The biggest infrastructure issue is the roads and highways, and there's no way to alleviate those bottlenecks once you get to the capital.
Okay. Yeah.
Fly Guy, we will be documenting everything that we do next year. We're making that a concerted effort and documenting everything that we do next year.
We got to make sure Clarence is with us because that's the man.
Yeah,
Clarence. I think he's still in Namibia though.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still in Namibia, so
still there. But I'm gonna tell him about Liberia. He's definitely interested.
Definitely. Yeah, Namibia was a great trip. Good experience. They think they got like 2 million people there. Yeah, it's kind of like the same situation y'all talk about. Like, there's land there, but it's just like, yeah, the government sucks, you know. And it's a whole bunch of border wars going on out there as far as like the meat and working and, you know, same stuff. Especially the roads. They only have like one main road. They have like one main road that goes straight out. So you're traveling with vehicles and trucks, and you got cows and all that shit on the road too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem, especially when you start talking about industrialization and stuff.
Right.
How's that going to work?
But see, the good thing I like about Liberia is it's rainforest and it's filled with vegetation. Now, Namibia got a lot of land, but Namibia, like the Kalahari Desert, I think it's like you pronounce it, the Kalahari Desert, and oh, child, like certain areas is like, oh, man. But I do like the landscape that we have. Fly Guy, please come with us next year if you can. Please come if you can, because it's a full year. If you can come, please come.
Yeah. Do they have any like let's say engineers there?
Yes, they do. They actually, if you're able to get into, they have like a Liberian Association of Engineers. It has like 12,000 members. So I don't have like a Facebook, so I really can't technically like get them. But you know, there is a Liberian Society of Engineers that you can, you know, connect with and then get in if you can. So they do have engineers there, and they do have construction and civil engineers. And I think in Maryland, I would just have to I'd have to call them or something like that, make that connection and tell them like, this is what we're doing and this is how many people we have and this is what we can work with y'all with.
Yeah, that's your best bet, to get an engineer, your architecture and your civil engineers. Everything else can pretty much be on the back burner, because that's where all your designs and stuff is going to come out to make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like the ideas that we create or you guys create will be put into this design from the architect standpoint and then from the engineer standpoint. So that's one of my main things when I try to figure out when I'm traveling, who can I link up with as far as engineering, architecture, because those people right there are the ones who's going to actually get that design up there.
It's a good thing. Yeah, we got two. Well, it's a good thing. I'm still in school, but I do have some experience working a little bit, you know, in the civil engineering field. So, you know, that is.
Yeah, definitely. My experience with Namibia is they have an ass of engineers, architecture, all that stuff, but there's no money in building. So there's like, they pretty much work for the corporate part of the, you know, the city and stuff. So they want to build, but you know, like you said, if the senator is getting all the money, you can't build anything unless you have your own money to sustain or put up front. So that's one of the things that we probably run into, is that money part. You know, everybody shy away when it comes to that.
We're gonna have a field of dreams moment with that. Build it and they will come.
Yeah,
but you got to have a plan. You got to have
definitely.
A plan. And the plan is feasible. I can sell that shit.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, you know, that I was trying to when my trip out there was trying to see who and how we putting this plan together, or how will we put the plan together. And of course, the coast is very crucial to what we're trying to do, because imports, exports. If you buy the coast, if you own that coast, man, that port, you good. You ain't got to worry about, you know, the cost and all the legalities of, you know, bringing in stuff or exporting stuff. So
true.
Yeah, the port. I mean, we are able to work with that because Liberia has plenty of ports. The problem is the hinterland, or like they call it the hinterland, but the interior is badly undeveloped. Like
Right.
Oh my, like
So you definitely got to
roads,
get those roads. Yep.
Mm.
roads, hospitals. There's no, like they said, like 20% of Liberia's population has access to electricity, and that's primarily in the Monrovia region. If you go like in Bong, Nimba, Grand Jita, like there's hardly any electricity. They have dirt roads, so it makes them almost. It's so bad that they were talking about they have to hold the election during a certain time of the year because if it rains, it cuts off access to those villages. So those people who want to go vote maybe can't vote because the water from because of the rainy season, it cuts them off from being able to get to where they need.
Yeah. That's tough, man. And that's it's one of those things as I'm learning more and more is sustainable goals issue. So like building those roads and the infrastructure and you got like jobs, food, you got to think about education, all that shit plays into everything that what we trying to do coming from here to go over there. So, I mean, I think when Holup talked about it, it was like, yo, it got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
building these sustainable cities, man. So that's the main goal. Because a lot of people think that going over there and like what's the famous the saying? Hold up, going over there, sipping on Mai Tais.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
yeah, that shit ain't working, man. You got to go over there. You got to go over there and put that work in, man. So
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Everybody wants to, they want to jump into the limousine.
right.
They want
Yeah,
to be in the
Yeah.
jacuzzi.
yeah, it's crazy, man. So, but yeah, just I'll be traveling this week, but just let me know when is a good time. So it'll probably be my best time is probably in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay.
This
Like I
this
said,
whole
just
this
make
week.
sure you tune, like keep the signal group tuned because that's where we communicate like 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah,
I hit you up, we'll hit you up on that and let you know like what the plan is.
okay. Yeah, because I got a new phone and it transferred all of my apps over here, but I totally forgot I had this on here. So I just checked it today and I see it in here. So all right, I'll definitely keep an eye out. You ready?
Cool.
All right, fam. We're gonna have what is it? Oh, underrated mind.
For final thoughts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Really is to my final thoughts is just as Jabari said, all hands on deck, and on top of that too, epistemology. What do you do? How do you do it? And why? Maybe this might be a good homework for the listeners and to really rethink what it is that they're doing in their day to day, and is it really taking them anywhere? Also, for tonight's the lounge, we're going to have one more open discussion. So whichever you guys want to steer the conversation, we just go about. I really don't have anything as far as yet, but I will come up with a topic for next discussion on the lounge. And yeah, that's all that I have from here.
Sounds good. All right, people.
All right. Y'all have a good rest of the day. See y'all
Peace,
later.
Peace to
everybody.
everybody.
All right, peace, y'all.
Like, comment, subscribe, sign up to the website.